Greetings, nerdy list aficionados, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're taking a look at heroes who have godlike abilities, this time because, well, they are gods. Be it by power set or by pedigree, these heroes could be worshipped in their respective universes. So get ready to feel awe for our heroes as we count down the top 10 heroes who were gods. Why were? Because not all made it. I'm Sasha, and let's get started. Number 10. Thor. Thor at number 10, you say? Blasphemy. Well, no, not really. Everybody, or most everyone, knows about Thor, the god of thunder, or the herald of thunder in Donny Cates' run at least at the start of it. Thor is modeled off of the Norse god of the same name. He was cast out of Asgard, one of the 9 realms, after his father found him to be too arrogant and a disappointment as an heir. Initially, he was sharing the body of a mortal man named Donald Blake, and Donald Blake was not aware of this. Not only was that horrifying, but it was also confusing, so it was soon retconned to the fact that he was Donald Blake, unless he held the hammer of Thor, and then when he put it down, he forgot, which was still kind of convoluted, but it worked. Nowadays, Thor's secret identity days are long behind him, and now he is all Thor all the time. His status as a god doesn't actually seem to awe the people around him as much as it should. I guess they just got used to it, with him being an Avenger and all. He's just everywhere. They've been there and seen that. Number 9. Hercules. Hercules is a fairly prominent member of the Marvel Universe as well, but he doesn't get the same amount of attention. Definitely not on the same level as Thor. Hercules debuted back in the Silver Age of Marvel, or their Renaissance, because it wasn't even Marvel before the Silver Age. It was Timely, before that was Atlas. Hercules got his start teaming up with Thor as his rival and eventually as his friend, but also still as his rival, like an anime. For some reason, the Grecian angle didn't really take as well as the Norse one. And while Hercules has his fans, he's certainly not as well known as some of the other characters out there. Although the importance of Simonson's run on Thor and how that defined him cannot be understated here. If you get a writer like, say, how Chris Claremont revolutionized the X-Men, you can suddenly get a whole new placement within the comic book universe. Number 8. Wonder Girl. Cassandra Sandsmark. Yes, if you're a demigod, you get to be on this list too. While Marvel's Hercules enjoys full godhood status, Zeus over in the DC universe is still doing what he loves, seducing mortal ladies, though hopefully he's not doing it in the form of a swan anymore. Creepy. Cassandra is the daughter of Zeus and an archaeologist named Dr. Helena Sandsmark, who is also a friend of Diana, aka Wonder Woman. So at first they play it off like Diana is giving Cassie items that grant her powers and is taking her under her wing, before it is later revealed that no, she is actually a daughter of Zeus. At least this was before the New 52. Then she was Zeus's granddaughter. Why? Cause why not? Retcon all the things. But hey, in Rebirth, Zeus refers to her as the future of the pantheon of the gods. So that's something. High praise, or high pressure. You decide. Number 7. Storm. Now Storm is interesting on this list for the fact that she isn't actually a god, but her people thought she was. When her amazing mutant abilities manifested, that being the ability to control the weather, it appeared to the people of her village that she was a goddess. She could stop droughts, create plenty, and turn the tides in their favor. It's an understandable assumption, to be honest. Still, Xavier came and burst that bubble hard, and then took her away to harness her powers to a greater degree, and also in a more targeted manner. Though she was doing pretty well figuring it out on her own, to be honest. Practice makes perfect, and compared to an average mere mortal, her powers do seem pretty godlike. Number 6. Snowbird. Snowbird first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number 120 back in 1979, and was actually a fan character for writer John Byrne, her creator. He was just waiting for a chance, essentially, an opportunity to write her, and with Alpha Flight, he got it. Snowbird is again a demigod, this time with a human father and a goddess mother, Nelvina, an Inuit goddess of the north. This wasn't exactly a romance though. Like, her father's experiences in the spirit realm drove him insane. It was much more of a you produce offspring now. Narya was bound by a shaman to the Earth realm, where he attempted to raise her and give her some semblance of normalcy. But she grew rapidly and soon developed powers. Lots and lots of powers, such as being able to transform into any animal, well, any natively Canadian animal, so you know, caveats. She would end up on the Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight, but it was a pretty big conflict since she had been born to battle the forces of the tundra, so she had to kind of divide her attentions and eventually gave up her secret identity. Snowbird has many abilities aside from metamorphosis, and that includes healing. Again, people here know her origins, but they're pretty meh about it. She was born in the spirit realm. That's worth at least a conversation over coffee. Number 5. Orion. Orion is a member of Jack Kirby's New Gods universe. He is the son of Darkseid, traded with the High Father as a bid for peace between Apocalypse and New Genesis. Orion grew up in the paradise that was New Genesis, and was taught to focus his inherent anger, and he came to really appreciate the upbringing he had been given. However, his ancestry led him towards being their planet's most skilled skilled warrior. He was aggressive and more ready for a fight than the other residents of New Genesis. Orion has been a member of the Justice League and helped them deal with Darkseid, his father. The new gods get their godhood more from their names than anything else. They are slightly more powerful than most mortal humans, but they are also still below some of the Earth's forces. Darkseid is pretty terrifying though, and just the application of the Judeo-Christian Darkseid is when referring to him, that's some hardcore blasphemy right there. Number 4, Mr. Miracle. So since we're talking about this trade, let's look at the other half. While Orion got to live an idyllic childhood on New Genesis, the child the High Father gave to Darkseid, not so much. No, instead he gave that child to the cruel Granny Goodness, in an attempt to break his spirit and to prove to the High Father that his way was best and inescapable. In a joke to amuse herself, the child was named Scot-Free, and would spend his childhood trying to escape Apocalypse, using increasingly cleverer and cleverer methods. Scott was unaware of his heritage and yet still had an inherent bend towards freedom that led him to join the resistance against Darkseid, because he did eventually escape. Take that. Scot-free. He would end up on Earth eventually and love it there, especially the stable pace of life and lack of surprise torture at every corner. Number 3, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is usually the Sorcerer Supreme, but sometimes to shake up the status quo, that changes. And what we have instead is a powerless Stephen Strange, but he rarely stays that way for long. Case in point, when Loki became the Sorcerer Supreme. Doctor Strange cannot just let that stand, so he had to set out to find a way to be stronger, better, faster. So since Loki stole his cloak, Doctor Strange broke into Asgard and made a bargain with the World Tree. Yggdrasil. Hard to say. World Tree. The amount of magic that this Tree of Life granted him was so great, it turned him into a living god of magic. But since he really just wanted his life back, he was able to give up that godhood for his title, regular powers, and of course, his cloak. Number 2, Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan is transformed into the Watchmen universe's only superpowered being. His transformation is due to a tragic accident that results in his body being completely obliterated, disintegrated. But John Osterman came back. He came back changed though. He rebuilt himself molecule by molecule. He is no longer a man in the traditional sense, but a being of energy, a god. He exists now outside of time, or rather in all time periods simultaneously. Because of this, he began to get more and more disconnected from life and other people. He would eventually leave his universe to create one of his own. This would later be retconned to it being the DCU, or at least the New 52. There are many feelings about this. Mine are salty, but what are yours? I mean, I'm not as salty as the authors of the 3 Jokers who had to wait over an extra year to publish their comic because it had to wait till after this Watchmen DC crossover before it could come out, and there were art delays. Many art delays. Yikes. And in at number 1, we have God Doom. During the Secret Wars event of the 2010s, not of the 80s, the Marvel Universe essentially collapsed, and it was remade by one man, keeping it all together, a world of merges and warps. And in this universe, he also stole Reed's family. This man was Doom, or God Doom as he was known in this arc. Doom stole the Beyonder's power in order to save all creation, so he was being good at the time. This is why he gets to be on a superhero list. Doom does what he wants when he wants though. Doom was the god of this world, but ultimately he is still Doom. So Reed and his evil alternate the Maker managed to find a way to approach him and restore the universe. What this really was a way to wrap up the 1610 universe, aka the Ultimate Universe, which had at this point run its course. That universe started in 2000 and ended in 2015. Basically, they wanted to save the characters that they liked and shut down the rest, but in a way that if for some reason they needed to have them back in the future, they could. Basically, have your cake and eat it too. We want Miles Morales and the Maker, and that's pretty much it. So those were 10 superheroes who were gods. Who was your favorite on this list, or were they not there? Let me know down below. I'm Sasha, and thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. And we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!